Hello everyone. Tonight we're diving into a question that'll make your toughest day feel like a walk in the park. Think you could survive as an assassin in feudal Japan, where every shadow hides a blade, and your life's a high-stakes game of stealth, betrayal, and blood? Forget the ninja flicks with their flashy flips and smoke bombs. You're not chilling with a Bluetooth speaker blasting your favorite playlist. You're crouched in a muddy ditch, heart pounding, the smell of rain and steel in the air, waiting to strike or be struck. Before you snuggle into your blanket and scroll through your phone, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. It's awesome to know who's joining us from all corners of the globe. Now close your eyes, but don't drift off yet. Let me pull you back to Japan, 1580, in the Sengoku period, a time of warring clans, samurai swagger, and chaos so thick you can taste it. You're not a noble sipping sake in a castle or a farmer tending rice fields. You're a shinobi, a hired killer for the IGA clan, skulking in the margins of a world where trust is a luxury and death's a paycheck. Your life's not a Hollywood montage of black-clad heroes. It's a gritty, nerve-shredding grind that makes your worst deadline look like a nap. It's just before dawn, and you're roused by a low whistle from your handler, a grizzled shinobi named Taro, whose scarred face looks like it's seen more battles than you've had hot meals. No alarm clock, no coffee to ease you into the day, just the sharp prod of a bamboo stick and Taro's gruff, "Move, or you're dead by noon." You scramble up from a thin straw mat in a hidden safe house, a cramped shack tucked in the IGA mountains, its walls smelling of damp wood and mildew. Your body sore from yesterday's training, crawling through brambles, practicing knife throws, running until your lungs burned. The air's heavy with the scent of wet earth and the faint tang of smoke from a doused fire, and your straw sandals are already soaked from the leaky roof. You glance around the dim shack, where a handful of other shinobi are stirring. There's Hannah, a wiry woman with a sharp tongue and sharper aim, who joined after her village was razed by a rival clan. She's checking her tanto blade, muttering about the daimyo who pays your wages. Then there's Kenta, a quiet kid barely older than you, whose hands shake when he thinks no one's watching. These aren't your buddies, not like the ones you DM memes to. They're your lifeline in a world where a single mistake means a slit throat. You pull on your dark, patched tunic, the fabric rough against your skin, and tuck a short blade into your belt. Its weight a cold reminder of what's coming. Breakfast? Forget avocado toast. You're handed a fist-sized ball of rice, cold and sticky, wrapped in a bamboo leaf, and a sliver of dried fish that smells like it's been dead longer than you've been alive. You squat on the dirt floor, forcing down the rice, its texture like glue in your mouth, while Taro briefs you. Your target's a samurai captain in a nearby castle, a man whose death will tip the scales for your clan's patron. The catch? He's guarded by a dozen retainers, and the castle's a maze of traps and patrols. You chew slowly, your stomach churning, not from the food, but from the weight of the mission. One wrong step, and you're not just dead. You're erased, your name forgotten, your body left for the crows. You step outside, the pre-dawn mist curling around you, cold and damp, seeping into your bones. The IGA mountains are a jagged silhouette, their peaks shrouded in fog, and the air smells of pine, wet stone, and the faint metallic tang of your blade. Taro leads you to a clearing where you train under his hawk-like gaze. No dojo, no polished floors, just a muddy patch of ground, slick with dew, where you practice stealth. You crawl through thorns, your knees scraping raw, the brambles snagging your tunic. Every rustle of leaves makes your heart lurch, because in this world, sound is death. Taro's voice is a low growl, silent, or you're carrion. You grit your teeth, ignoring the sting of cuts, the ache in your muscles, and move like a shadow, your breath shallow, your body low. Hannah's nearby, practicing knife throws, her blades thudding into a tree with deadly precision. She catches your eye and smirks, too slow, and you'll be feeding the foxes. You nod, but her words sting. Hannah survived longer than most, and her confidence is a reminder of your own fragility. Kent is struggling, his foot snapping a twig, and Taro's bamboo stick cracks across his back, drawing a sharp yelp. You wince, knowing that could be you, and keep moving, your hands trembling as you grip a rope to practice climbing. The rope's rough, biting your palms, and your arms burn as you haul yourself up, the mist making every surface slick. One slip, and you're done. No safety net, no second chances. The training's brutal. Hours of crawling, climbing, and dodging Taro's mock attacks. His wooden sword a blur that leaves welts if you're too slow. Your body screaming, your lungs burning, and the mist turned your tunic into a cold, clinging weight. You're taught to blend, to disappear, into shadows, into crowds, into the very earth. You roll in mud to mask your scent, the wet earth smearing your face, its chill seeping into your skin. The smell of soil and decay fills your nose, and you fight the urge to gag, knowing a cough could betray you. Taro's voice cuts through. You're not a man. You're a ghost. Act like it. You nod, your jaw tight, and swallow the fear that's clawing at your chest. By midday, you're a wreck. Your body slick with mud and sweat, your hands raw from a rope. You're given a brief break, collapsing under a pine tree, its needles sharp against your back. Taro hands you a bamboo flask of water, tepid and tasting of moss, and you gulp it down, your throat dry as ash. Enki squats beside you, chewing his rice ball, his eyes distant. Ever think about running? He whispers, his voice low. You shake your head. Run where? The mountains are a death trap, and every clan's hunting shinobi like you. The IGA are your cage, but they're also your shield. Without them, you're just prey. Hannah's nearby, sharpening her tanto, her face hard. Run and you're dead by dawn, she says, not looking up. You wonder what's hardened her, grief, betrayal, or just too many nights like this. The afternoon drags you back into training, this time with weapons. You're handed a kuzurigama, a sickle chained to a weight, its balance tricky, its edge sharp enough to split bone. Taro makes you spar with Kenta, whose shaky hands make him a liability. You swing the chain, the weight whistling through the air, and Kenta dodges, barely, his face pale. You don't want to hurt him, but Taro's watching, and mercy's a weakness. The sickle grazes Kenta's arm, drawing a thin line of blood, and he stumbles, his eyes wide with fear. Taro's voice is a whip, strike or die. You hesitate, and Taro's stick cracks across your shoulder, the pain a white-hot flare. You grit your teeth, helping Kenta up, but his trembling hands are a warning. You're only as strong as your weakest link. As dusk falls, you're sent to the safe house to prepare for tonight's mission. The air's thick with the smell of rain and pine, and the mountains are a dark, looming presence. You check your gear, blades, ropes, a small pouch of ash to blind enemies. Your heart's pounding, not just from a climb, but from the weight of what's coming. The samurai captain's death is your ticket to survival, but one mistake, and you're the one bleeding out. Hannah's beside you, tying her hair back, her face set. Don't freeze out there, she says, her voice low. You nod, but the fear's a cold knot in your gut, and you wonder if she feels it too. You think about home, wherever that was, a fishing village, a mother's voice, a life before the IGA claimed you. The memory's fuzzy, like a dream you can't hold, but it hurts all the same. You're not a hero, not a shadow warrior from the movies. You're a tool honed for killing, and every step you take is a gamble with death. The safe house is quiet, the others checking their gear, their faces hard with focus. You wonder what keeps them going, loyalty, revenge, or just the need to survive another night. So, how's it feel, crawling through mud with death at your heels? Think you could handle the cold, the fear, the weight of a blade in your hand? Or are you already dreaming of your cozy bed, your morning coffee, your life where the worst betrayal is a bad text? Don't get too comfortable. The night's young, and the shadows are hungry for blood. The safe house is a claustrophobic den, its air thick with a damp reek of mildew, pine resin, and the faint metallic tang of sharpened steel. You're crouched on the dirt floor, your body a map of aches, shoulders throbbing from yesterday's kuzurigama drills, hands raw from rope burns, knees bruised from crawling through brambles. The pre-dawn chill seeps through the thin walls, gnawing at your bones, and your straw sandals are still damp from last night's mist. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, and the IGA mountains are your prison and your shield. Tonight's mission, to kill a samurai captain in a fortified castle, looms like a storm, and every moment is a countdown to blood, yours or his. A low cough from the corner pulls you back. Kenta, the shaky-handed kid, wrapping his hands to hide their trembling. You glance around the dim shack. Hana's sharpening her tanto. The blades scrape a steady rhythm. Her face hard, but her eyes betraying a flicker of dread. Taro, your handler, is checking a map of the castle, his scarred face lit by a flickering oil lamp. His voice a low growl as he mutters about guard patrols. These are your comrades, bound not by friendship, but by survival. Each as likely to save you as to sell you out if the price is right. You tighten the cord around your short blade, its weight a cold anchor, and try to steady your breathing, the air tasting of dust and fear. Taro's whistle cuts through the silence, sharp and urgent. Gear up, he snaps, his eyes scanning you like a hawk. You pull on a dark, patched hood, its fabric rough against your neck, and tuck your tools, blades, ash pouch, grappling hook into your belt. Your tunic's heavy with damp clinging to your skin, and the smell of wet cloth mixes with the pine outside. You're sent to the forest for final preparations. The mountains a dark, looming presence under a sky bruised with clouds. The air's thick with the scent of rain and moss, and every step crunches on pine needles, the sound making your heart lurch. Silence is your armor, and noise is your enemy. The forest is your training ground, a labyrinth of shadows and traps. Taro leads you to a stream, its water icy and flecked with silt, and orders you to practice crossing without a ripple. You wade in, the cold biting your legs, the current tugging at your sandals. Your knees ache, your hands tremble, and the stream's gurgle drowns out your shallow breaths. You move slowly, each step calculated, but a pebble shifts underfoot, sending a faint splash. Taro's bamboo stick cracks across your shoulder, the pain a white-hot flare. Dead, he growls, and you grit your teeth, starting again. Hana's nearby, crossing like a ghost, her movements fluid, her smirk a silent taunt. Kent is struggling, his splash earning another welt, and you wince, knowing you're only as strong as he is tonight. The training's brutal, hours of waiting, climbing, and blending into the forest shadows. You scale a tree, its bark rough against your raw hands, the sap sticking to your fingers. Your arms burn, your lungs scream, and a branch snaps under your weight, the sound like a gunshot in the quiet. Taro's stick finds your back, and you swallow a curse, climbing higher. The wind's chill, cutting through your tunic. You're taught to vanish, into trees, into mud, into the very air. You smear your face with ash, its grit stinging your eyes, and crouch in a ditch, the wet earth seeping into your knees. The smell of decay and moss fills your nose, and you fight the urge to shiver, knowing a tremble could betray you to a patrol. By midday, you're a wreck, your body slick with mud and sweat, your hands raw from climbing. Taro calls a break, and you collapse under a cedar, its needles sharp against your back. He hands you a bamboo flask of water, tepid and tasting of earth, and you gulp it down, your throat dry as ash. Hana's beside you, chewing a strip of dried fish, her eyes distant. Ever think about saying no? She whispers, her voice low. You shake your head. Refusing a mission means death, by Taro's blade or the clan's wrath. The IGA are your masters, and defiance is a luxury you can't afford. Kent is nearby, his hands still shaking, and you wonder if he'll crack before nightfall. Taro's watching, his scarred face unreadable, and you feel his judgment like a blade at your neck. The afternoon drags you back into preparations, this time for infiltration. Taro leads you to a mock castle wall, a pile of logs and bamboo rigged with traps. Your task is to climb it, avoiding snares and spikes, and reach the guard post without being seen. The logs are slick with moss, the bamboo creaking under your weight, and every move is a gamble. You grip a rope, its fibers biting your palms, and haul yourself up, your arms trembling. A hidden wire trips, sending a bamboo spike swinging, and you duck, its tip grazing your cheek, drawing a bead of blood. Taro's voice is a growl, dead. You grit your teeth, starting again, the pain a sharp reminder of what's at stake. Hannah's faster, scaling the wall like a spider, her movements precise. She catches your eye and mutters, "Move like you mean it, or you're crow food." You nod, but her words sting. Hannah's survival is a mirror to your own fragility. Kent is struggling, his foot catching a snare, and Taro's stick cracks across his back, drawing a yelp. You wince knowing you could be next, and keep climbing, your heart pounding, your breath shallow. The traps are relentless, wires, spikes, loose logs that shift underfoot, and every success feels like a stolen breath. You reach the top, your hands bleeding, your tunic torn, and Taro grunts, unimpressed. "Barely alive," he says, and you know he's right. As dusk falls, you're sent to the safe house to finalize your plan. The air's thick with the smell of rain and pine, and the mountains are a dark, looming presence. You study the castle map, its lines blurring in the dim light, and memorize the guard patrols, the weak points, the escape routes. Your target's room is deep in the castle, guarded by samurai who'd gut you without blinking. Your heart's pounding, not just from a climb, but from the weight of what's coming. Taro's voice is a low rumble, detailing your role. Slip in, strike, slip out. Hannah's tasked with distraction, Kenta with lookout, and you with the kill. The thought makes your stomach churn, not because you're soft, but because every kill is a roll of the dice, and you've seen too many shinobi lose. You check your gear, blades, ash pouch, a small vial of poison for backup. The poison scent is faint, like bitter herbs, and you tuck it into your belt, its weight a cold promise. Hannah's beside you, tying her hair back, her face set. "Don't hesitate," she says, her voice low. You nod, but the fear's a cold knot in your gut, and you wonder if she feels it too. Kenta's hands are shaking worse now, and Taro's watching him, his eyes narrow. You want to say something to the kid to steady him, but words feel hollow when death's so close. The safe house is quiet, the others checking their gear, their faces hard with focus. You think about the samurai captain, a man you've never met, whose life you'll lend tonight. You wonder if he has a family, a home, a reason to fight. The thought hurts, but you push it down. Pity's a weakness you can't afford. The mountains are alive with sound as you prepare to move out. Crickets chirping, wind rustling the pines, the distant howl of a wolf. The air's heavy with the promise of rain, and you pull your hood tighter, its fabric rough against your neck. Taro leads you to a hidden path, the ground slick with mud, and you move in silence, your steps light, your breath shallow. Every snap of a twig makes your heart lurch, every shadow a potential enemy. You're not a hero, not a shadow warrior from the movies. You're a tool honed for killing, and every step you take is a gamble with death. The castle's silhouette looms in the distance, its walls dark against the stormy sky, and you feel the weight of the mission like a stone on your chest. You think about home, wherever that was, a fishing village, a mother's voice, a life before the IGA claimed you. The memory's fuzzy, like a dream you can't hold, but it hurts all the same. You wonder what keeps you going, loyalty, revenge, or just the need to survive another night. Are you still awake? I truly hope so, because there's something special about drifting through this story together, quietly, slowly. If you're still listening, whisper to me. Where are you right now? And how far have we come together? Don't fall asleep just yet. The most mysterious part is still waiting for us ahead. The forest path is a treacherous vein through the IGA mountains, the air thick with the scent of wet pine, mud, and the faint, metallic tang of your blade. Your body's a wreck, shoulders throbbing from carrying gear, hands raw from rope burns, knees bruised from yesterday's crawling drills. The night's chill bites through your dark patch tunic, its damp fabric clinging to your skin like a second, heavier weight. You're a shinobi, creeping toward a fortified castle to kill a samurai captain, and every step is a gamble with death. The storm clouds above rumble, promising rain, and the distant castle looms like a predator, its walls a dark scar against the sky. Your heart's pounding, not just from the climb, but from the weight of the mission. And the IGA's code, strike or be struck, burns in your mind. A low rustle from the bushes pulls you back. Kenta, the shaky-handed kid, stumbling over a root. You freeze, your breath catching, every nerve screaming for silence. Hana, ahead, shoots him a glare sharp enough to cut, her tanto glinting in the moonlight. Taro, leading the way, hisses, quiet or you're dead. You glance at Kenta, his face pale, his hands trembling, and feel a pang of pity. He's a liability, but he's all you've got. You adjust your hood, its rough fabric chafing your neck, and move on, your straw sandals sinking into the mud, the squelch muffled by the wind's howl. The forest is alive, crickets chirping, branches creaking, the distant bark of a fox. And every sound makes your skin prickle, because in this world, a snapped twig is a death sentence. The path narrows, the trees closing in, their branches clawing at your tunic. You're tasked with scouting the castle's outer perimeter, and Taro's orders are clear. Map the patrols, find the weak point, don't get seen. You slip into the shadows, your body low, your movements slow to avoid rustling the underbrush. The mud's cold, seeping into your knees, its earthy smell mixing with the pine and the faint, sour tang of your own sweat. Your hands grip a small bamboo tube, filled with ash to blind enemies, its weight a cold comfort. The castle's walls are closer now, their stone faces pitted and mossy, lit by flickering torches that cast long, dancing shadows. You count the guards, 6 on the outer wall, 2 at the gate, their armor clinking softly, their voices a low murmur carried by the wind. You crouch behind a boulder, your heart hammering, the cold stone pressing against your raw hands. The guards' torches are a problem, too much light, too little cover. You signal Hana, who's hidden in a nearby tree, her silhouette barely visible. She nods, and you wait, your breath shallow, your body tense. She tosses a small stone, its clatter echoing, and the guards turn, their torches swinging. You seize the moment, darting to the wall's base, the moss slick under your sandals. The smell of damp stone and torch smoke fills your nose, and you press yourself flat, your tunic blending with the shadows. Your hands tremble, not just from a cold, but from the fear that's a constant companion. A cold not in your gut that never loosens. The wall's your next challenge, a sheer climb rigged with traps. You pull out a grappling hook, its iron prongs dull, but sharp enough to bite wood. The rope's rough, biting your raw palms, and you toss the hook, its faint clink muffled by the wind. It catches, and you climb, your arms burning, your legs shaking, the rope creaking under your weight. A hidden spike juts from the wall, grazing your thigh, drawing a thin line of blood. You grit your teeth, swallowing the pain, and keep climbing, the wind's chill cutting through your tunic. Hana's already up, her movements fluid, her smirk a silent taunt. Kent is slower, his rope swaying, and you pray he doesn't fall. He's your lookout, and without him, you're blind. You reach the top, your hands bleeding, your breath ragged, and crouch behind a parapet, the stone cold against your back. The castle's inner courtyard stretches below, a maze of wooden walkways, tiled roofs, and flickering lanterns. The air's thick with the smell of charcoal, oiled wood, and the faint, sour tang of sake from the guards' quarters. You count the patrols. For samurai, their katanas glinting, their steps heavy on the planks. Your target's room is deep in the keep, a fortified tower at the courtyard heart, and getting there means crossing open ground. Every step a roll of the dice. Taro's signal, a low owl hoot, comes from below, and you move, your body low, your sandals silent on the stone. The courtyard's a death trap, every lantern a spotlight, every creak a betrayal. You slink along the shadows, your heart pounding, the cold air stinging your lungs. Hannah's ahead, her tonto ready, her eyes scanning for trouble. Kent is behind, his breathing too loud, his hands shaking as he clutches his ash pouch. You reach a wooden bridge, its planks slick with dew, and cross, your steps light, your body tense. A guard's torch swings your way, and you drop flat, the wood's chill seeping into your chest. The guard passes, his armor clinking, and you rise, your pulse a drum in your ears. The smell of smoke and sweat is overwhelming, and you fight the urge to cough, knowing a sound could end you. You reach the keep's base, its walls towering, its windows shuttered. The plan's simple but brutal. Hannah distracts the guards. Kenta watches the escape route. You slip in and strike. Hannah pulls a small firecracker from her belt, its fuse hissing as she lights it. She tosses it, and the crack echoes, drawing shouts from the guards. They rush toward the sound, and you move, scaling the keep's wall with a rope, its fibers biting your palms. Your arms burn, your legs tremble, and a loose tile shifts, clattering softly. You freeze, your heart lurching, but the guards are distracted, and you climb, reaching a window, its wooden shutter ajar. You slip inside, the air thick with the smell of tatami, lamp oil, and the faint, musky tang of sleep. The room's dim, lit by a single lantern, and you crouch, your blade drawn, its weight a cold promise. The samurai captain's asleep, his silhouette visible through a paper screen, his snores a soft rhythm. Your heart's pounding, not just from the climb, but from the weight of what's coming. You've killed before bandit spies, but this is different. This is a man with a name, a life, and the thought makes your hand tremble. You push it down, because hesitation is death, and you're not here to feel. You creep forward, your sandals silent on the tatami, the floor creaking faintly under your weight. The smell of sake and sweat grows stronger, and you slide the screen aside, your blade raised. The captain stirs, his eyes opening, and you freeze, your breath catching. He lunges for his katana, and you strike, your blade finding his throat, blood spraying, warm and sticky, splashing your hands. He gurgles, his eyes wide, and collapses, the life draining from him. Your stomach churns, not from the blood, but from the weight of what you've done. You wipe your blade on his robe, the fabric soft against your raw hands, and slip back to the window, your heart a drum in your chest. The courtyard's chaos now. Hannah's firecrackers have stirred the guards, their shouts echoing, their torches swinging. You climb down, your rope creaking, your arms trembling, and hit the ground, the mud cold under your sandals. Kent is waiting, his face pale, his hands shaking. They're coming, he whispers, and you nod, your breath ragged. Hannah joins you, her tanto bloody, her eyes hard. Move, she hisses, and you run, the shadows your only cover. The guard shouts growing louder. The air's thick with the smell of smoke and rain, and the castle's a beast, its jaws closing around you. You reach the outer wall, your grappling hook catching, and climb, your hands bleeding, your legs shaking. A guard's arrow whistles past, grazing your arm, the pain a sharp flare. You grit your teeth, reaching the top, and slide down the other side, the rope burning your palms. The forest swallows you, its shadows a cold embrace, and you run, your breath burning, your body screaming. The castle shouts fade, but the fear's a cold knot in your gut, and you know you're not safe, not yet. You think about the captain, his blood on your hands, his life snuffed out. You wonder if he had a family, a home, a reason to fight. The thought hurts, but you push it down. Pity's a weakness you can't afford. The safe house is miles away, and every step is a gamble with death. You're not a hero, not a shadow warrior from the movies. You're a tool, honed for killing, and every breath you take is a stolen one. The forest is a labyrinth of shadows, its air thick with the scent of wet pine, mud, and the faint, metallic tang of blood still clinging to your hands. Your body's a wreck, arms burning from the rope climb, hands raw from gripping your blade, A fresh arrow graze on your arm, stinging with every step. The IGA mountains loom around you, their peaks shrouded in mist, and the rain started, a cold drizzle that soaks your dark, patched tunic, its damp fabric clinging to your skin like a second, heavier weight. You're a shinobi, fleeing a castle where you just killed a samurai captain, and every rustle in the underbrush is a reminder that you're not safe. The guards' shouts have faded, but their pursuit is a ghost at your heels, and the safe house is still miles away, a distant promise in a night alive with danger. A low gasp pulls you back. Kenta, the shaky-handed kid, stumbling over a root, his face pale, his breath ragged. You glance at Hannah, her eyes sharp under her hood, her tanto still bloody from the guard she silenced during your escape. She hisses, "Keep up or we leave you," but her voice wavers, betraying the fear you all share. Taro's ahead, his scarred silhouette a dark blur, leading you through the forest maze. You adjust your belt, the weight of your blades, an ash pouch a cold anchor, and push forward, your straw sandals sinking into the mud, the squelch muffled by the rain's patter. The forest is a predator, branches clawing at your tunic, roots snagging your feet, the wind's howl masking the sound of pursuers, and every step is a gamble with death. You're tasked with covering the rear, watching for signs of the castle's trackers, samurai, dogs, or worse, rival shinobi hired to hunt you. Your heart's pounding, not just from the run, but from the weight of survival. And you scan the shadows, your eyes burning from the rain and strain. The air's thick with the smell of wet earth and decaying leaves, and your hands tremble, gripping a small bamboo tube of ash, its contents a last resort to blind an enemy. The rain's a curse, blurring your vision, turning the ground into a slick trap, but it's also a shield, masking your tracks. You move low, your body tense, your breath shallow, the cold seeping into your bones. A distant bark, a dog, makes your gut clench, and you signal Taro, who nods, veering toward a stream to throw off a scent. The stream's icy, its current tugging at your legs as you wade in, the water soaking your sandals, its chill biting your skin. You grit your teeth, keeping your steps light. The stream's gurgle drowning out your shallow breaths. Hannah's ahead, her movements fluid, her hood blending with the mist. Kenta's struggling, his splash too loud, and you grab his arm, steadying him, your own hands shaking. Silent, you whisper, your voice barely audible, and he nods, his eyes wide with terror. The dog's barks grow louder, and you move faster, the water's cold a constant ache, the mud underfoot threatening to pull you down. You reach the other bank, your legs trembling, and crouch in the reeds, their sharp edges slicing your raw hands. The smell of silt and wet grass fills your nose, and you fight the urge to shiver, knowing a tremble could betray you. Taro leads you deeper into the forest, the trees closing in, their branches a tangled roof that blocks the moonlight. You're tasked with setting traps to slow the trackers, simple snares of rope and bamboo, rigged to trip or wound. You kneel in the mud, the cold earth seeping into your knees, and work quickly, your hands bleeding as you tie knots, the rope's fibers biting your skin. The rain's heavier now, stinging your face, and every knot feels like a prayer for survival. Hannah's nearby, scattering ash to mask your scent, her movements precise despite the downpour. Kenta's setting spikes, his hands shaking so badly he nearly cuts himself, and you want to help, but time's a blade at your neck. Taro's voice is a low growl, faster, or we're all dead. You nod, your jaw tight, and finish the snare, its taut rope a fragile defense against the hunters. The traps are set, and you move on, the forest a maze of shadows and threats. Your body screaming, your lungs burning, and the rain's turned your tunic into a cold, clinging weight. You're taught to vanish, into trees, into mud, into the very air, but vanishing feels impossible when every step is a fight against exhaustion. You smear mud on your face, its grit stinging your eyes, and crouch in a ditch, the wet earth seeping into your chest. The smell of decay and moss is overwhelming, and you fight the urge to cough, knowing a sound could end you. The dogs' barks are fainter now, but the trackers are still out there, their torches flickering like distant stars. And you know they won't stop until they find you or give up. By midday, you're a wreck, your body slick with mud and rain, your hands raw from a rope. Taro calls a halt in a hidden grove. Its cedars a dark canopy against the storm. You collapse under a tree, its needles sharp against your back, and Taro hands you a bamboo flask of water, tepid and tasting of earth. You gulp it down, your throat dry as ash, and chew a scrap of dried fish, its salty tang bitter in your mouth. Hannah's beside you, wringing out her hood, her face hard, but her hands trembling. Ever think about turning back? She whispers, her voice low. You shake your head. Turning back means facing the castle's wrath, and the IGA's punishment for failure is a slow death. Kent is nearby, his hands still shaking, and you wonder if he'll crack before nightfall. Taro's watching, his scarred face unreadable, and you feel his judgment like a blade at your neck. The afternoon drags you back into flight, this time toward a river crossing to reach the safe house. The river's swollen from the rain, its current a roaring beast, and Taro's plan is simple but brutal. Swim across, lose the trackers, survive. You wade in, the water icy, its force pulling at your legs, the smell of silt and fish filling your nose. Your body screaming, your arms trembling, and the current's a constant threat, dragging at your tunic. Hannah's ahead, her stroke strong, her hood a dark speck in the foam. Kent is struggling, his gasps too loud, and you grab his arm, pulling him through, your own strength fading. The cold's a knife in your bones, and you fight to keep your head above water. The river's roar drowning out your ragged breaths. You reach the other bank, your body numb, your sandals lost to the current. You collapse in the mud, the wet earth cold against your chest, and gasp for air, your lungs burning. Hannah's beside you, panting, her face streaked with mud. Kent is coughing, his face pale, and Taro's already moving, his voice a growl. Move, or we're dead. You stumble to your feet, your legs shaking, and push forward. The forest a blur of shadows and rain. The safe house is close now, its promise a faint light in the dark, but the trackers are still out there. Their dog's barks a distant echo, and you know safety's a lie until you're hidden. The forest thins, the safe house a dark shape in a clearing, its walls weathered, its roof leaking. You slip inside, the air thick with the smell of damp wood and mildew, and collapse on the dirt floor, your body a wreck. Taro bolts the door, his scarred face tense, and you check your gear, blades, ash pouch, the poison vial still intact. The blood on your hands is dried, flaking off like rust, and you wipe them on your tunic, the fabric stiff with mud. Hannah's beside you, sharpening her tanto, her eyes distant. You froze back there, she says, her voice low, referring to the captain's room. You nod, the shame a cold weight in your gut, and wonder if she'd have hesitated too. Kent is in a corner, his hands still shaking, and you want to say something to steady him, but words feel hollow when death's so close. The safe house is quiet, the others tending their wounds, their faces hard with exhaustion. You think about the captain, his blood on your hands, his life snuffed out. You wonder if he had a family, a home, a reason to fight. The thought hurts, but you push it down. Pity's a weakness you can't afford. Taro's voice breaks the silence, detailing the next steps. Lie low, wait for the clan signal, prepare for the next mission. The thought makes your stomach churn, because there's always another mission, another kill, another night like this. The safe house is a suffocating cage, its air thick with a reek of damp wood mildew, and the faint, metallic tang of blood crusted on your hands. Your body's a wreck, shoulders throbbing from the river crossing, hands raw from rope burns, the arrow graze on your arm pulsing with every heartbeat. The rain's relentless, hammering the leaky roof, its cold drizzle seeping through the cracks and soaking your dark, patched tunic, which clings to your skin like a sodden weight. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, holed up in a hidden shack in the IGA mountains after killing a samurai captain. The tracker's dogs are silent for now, but their threat lingers like a blade at your neck. And the safe house is no sanctuary, just a pause before the next mission, the next kill. A low whimper pulls you back, Kenta, curled in a corner, his hands still shaking, his face pale as moonlight. You glance around the dim shack, lit by a flickering oil lamp. Hannah's tending a cut on her arm, her tanto beside her, its blade gleaming with fresh oil, her eyes hard but flickering with exhaustion. Taro's at the door, his scarred face tense, peering through a crack for signs of pursuit. These are your comrades, bound by blood and necessity, each a thread in a fragile web that could snap with one mistake. You shift on the dirt floor, wincing as your bruised knees protest, and check your gear, blades, ash pouch, poison vial. Its weight a cold reminder of the life you've chosen, or the one chosen for you. Taro's voice cuts through the silence, a low growl. Rest, but don't sleep. We move at dawn. You nod, your jaw tight, and force down a scrap of cold rice, its texture like glue in your mouth, paired with a sliver of dried fish that tastes of salt and regret. Your stomach churns, not from the food, but from the weight of the captain's death. His blood still flaking off your hands like rust. You wipe them on your tunic, the fabric stiff with mud and rain, and try to steady your breathing, the air tasting of dust and fear. The shack's walls creak under the wind's assault, and every gust makes your heart lurch, expecting the bark of dogs or the clink of samurai armor. You're tasked with keeping watch, a role that's as much punishment as necessity after your hesitation in the castle. You crouch by a shuttered window, its wood warped and splintered, and peer into the night, the rain blurring your vision. The forest is a sea of shadows, its pines swaying, their needles whispering secrets you can't decipher. The air's thick with the smell of wet earth and moss, and your hands tremble, gripping a small blade, its edge sharp enough to split bone. The rain's a curse, masking the sound of pursuers, but it's also a shield, washing away your tracks. You scan the darkness, your eyes burning, your body tense, the cold seeping into your bones. A distant howl, a wolf, not a dog, makes your gut clench, and you tighten your grip, the blades weight a cold anchor. Hannah's nearby, oiling her tanto, her movements precise despite the exhaustion etched in her face. She catches your eye and mutters, "Don't freeze again, or we're all dead." Her words sting, a reminder of your hesitation in the captain's room, and you nod, the shame a cold weight in your gut. Kenta's still in the corner, his hands wrapped, his breathing uneven, and you wonder if he's more danger than help. Taro's at the door, his scarred face unreadable, but his eyes flick to Kenta, and you know he's weighing the kid's worth. The IGA don't tolerate weakness, and you're all one mistake away from being cut loose, or cut down. The watch is grueling, hours of staring into the rain-soaked dark, your body screaming for rest, your mind racing with every shadow's flicker. The rain's heavier now, stinging your face through the window's cracks, and your tunic's a sodden rag, its damp chill gnawing at your skin. You're taught to endure, to ignore pain, fear, or exhaustion. But endurance feels like a lie when every breath is a fight against panic. You smear mud on your face, its grit stinging your eyes, to blend with the night, and crouch lower, the dirt floor cold against your knees. The smell of decay and wet wood is overwhelming, and you fight the urge to cough, knowing a sound could draw the trackers. By midnight, your eyes are burning, your hands numb, and Taro relieves you, his grunt a rare acknowledgement. You collapse on the dirt floor, your body a wreck, and try to rest, but sleep's a distant dream. The shack's alive with small sounds, Hannah's steady breathing, Kenta's restless shifts, the rain's relentless drum. You think about the captain, his blood on your hands, his life snuffed out. You wonder if he had a family, a home, a reason to fight. The thought hurts, but you push it down. Pity's a weakness you can't afford. You're not a hero, not a shadow warrior from the movies. You're a tool, honed for killing, and every moment you're alive is a stolen one. Dawn creeps in, a gray smear through the window, and Taro's whistle rouses you. "Move," he snaps, and you stumble to your feet, your muscles screaming, your head foggy with exhaustion. The rain's eased, leaving a damp mist that clings to your skin, its chill seeping into your bones. You're tasked with scouting the path to the IGA's main camp, a hidden fortress deeper in the mountains. The trackers may still be out there, and your job is to ensure the route's clear. You pull on your hood, its fabric rough against your neck, and check your gear, blades, ash pouch, a small bamboo tube of caltrops to slow pursuers. The air's thick with the smell of wet pine and earth, and you move out, your sandals sinking into the mud, the squelch muffled by the mist. The forest is a maze of shadows and threats, its trees closing in, their branches clawing at your tunic. You move low, your body tense, your steps light to avoid rustling the underbrush. The mud's cold, seeping into your knees, its earthy smell mixing with the pine and the faint, sour tang of your own sweat. Your hands tremble, gripping your blade, its weight a cold comfort. The mist's a double-edged sword, hiding you from trackers, but blinding you to their presence. You scan the path, your eyes burning, your heart pounding, the cold air stinging your lungs. A snapped twig in the distance makes you freeze, your breath catching, and you crouch behind a tree, its bark rough against your raw hands. Hannah's nearby, scouting a parallel path, her silhouette barely visible through the mist. Kent is behind, his breathing too loud, his hands shaking as he clutches his ash pouch. You signal him to stay low, and he nods, his eyes wide with terror. The forest's alive. Birds chirping, wind rustling the pines, the distant howl of a wolf. And every sound is a potential threat. You move forward, your sandals silent on the mud, and spot tracks, boot prints, too fresh to be old, leading toward the camp. Your gut clenches, and you signal Taro, who's trailing behind. He nods, his scarred face tense, and you know the trackers are closer than you thought. The path steepens, the mud turning to slick rock, and you climb, your hands bleeding as you grip roots, their fibers biting your skin. Your arms burn, your legs tremble, and the mist's turned your tunic into a cold, clinging weight. You're taught to blend, into trees, into mud, into the very air, but blending feels impossible when every step is a fight against exhaustion. You reach a ridge, the camp's hidden entrance, a dark crevice in the rock, and crouch, scanning for signs of ambush. The air's thick with the smell of wet stone and moss, and your hands tremble, gripping your blade, its edge sharp enough to split bone. A low bark, a dog, echoes below, and you freeze, your heart lurching. The trackers are close, their torches flickering through the mist like distant stars. Taro signals a retreat, and you move, your body low, your sandals silent on the rock. The camp's a trap now, and the safe house is your only refuge. You descend, the mud slick underfoot, and slip, your knee hitting a root, the pain a sharp flare. You grit your teeth, pushing forward, the dog's barks growing louder, the tracker's shouts a faint echo. Hannah's ahead, her tanto ready, her eyes hard. Kent is struggling, his gasps too loud, and you grab his arm, pulling him through, your own strength fading. The safe house looms, its walls a dark shape in the mist, and you slip inside, the air thick with the smell of damp wood and mildew. You collapse on the dirt floor, your body a wreck, and Taro bolts the door, his scarred face tense. The blood on your hands is gone, washed by the rain, but its weight remains, a cold knot in your gut. You think about the captain, his life snuffed out, and wonder if the trackers know your face. The thought hurts, but you push it down, fear's a weakness you can't afford. The safe house is a crumbling shell, its air thick, with a musty stench of rotting straw and the sharp, bitter tang of lamp oil burned low. Your body's a wreck, shoulders aching from the frantic river crossing, hands stinging from caltrop pricks, the arrow graze on your arm throbbing like a drum. The dawn's gray light creeps through the warped shutters, but the chill lingers, seeping into your bones, your dark, patched tunic stiff with dried mud and sweat. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, holed up in a hidden shack in the IGA mountains after killing a samurai captain. The tracker's dogs have gone quiet, but their silence is a lie, and the safe house is a fragile refuge, a breath before the next plunge into danger. A low mutter pulls you back, Hannah, whispering to herself, her tanto clutched like a talisman, her face etched with something darker than exhaustion. You glance around the dim shack, the oil lamps flicker, casting jagged shadows. Kent is slumped against a wall, his hands steady for once, his eyes fixed on a small bamboo flute, a relic from a life he never speaks of. Taro's by the door, his scarred face tense, sharpening a blade with slow, deliberate strokes, the scrape a steady rhythm in the silence. These are your comrades, bound by blood and betrayal, each a spark that could ignite or extinguish you. You shift on the dirt floor, wincing as your bruised knees protest, and tighten the cord around your poison vial. Its faint, herbal scent a cold promise of what's to come. Taro's voice cuts through, a low growl. We move now. Camp's compromised. You nod, your jaw tight, and force down a scrap of cold barley, its gritty texture scraping your throat, paired with a sip of water that tastes of clay and regret. Your stomach twists, not from hunger, but from the weight of the captain's death. His blood a ghost in your mind, a stain no rain can wash away. You pull on your hood, its coarse fabric chafing your neck, and check your gear, blades, ash pouch, a small scroll of forge papers for emergencies. The air's heavy with the scent of damp earth and tension, and every creak of the shack makes your heart lurch, expecting the tracker's return or worse, a rival shinobi, hired to finish what the samurai started. You're tasked with leading the group to a fallback point, a derelict village nestled in a valley, rumored to be a neutral ground for shinobi dealings. The path is treacherous, winding through a ravine where the mist hangs thick, its chill prickling your skin like needles. You move out, your sandals crunching on gravel, the sound muffled by the fog's damp embrace. The ravine's walls loom, their stone faces slick with moss, and the air's thick with the smell of wet rock and decaying leaves. Your hands grip a small blade, its edge sharp enough to split bone, and you scan the shadows, your eyes burning from the strain, your breath shallow to avoid betraying your position. The mist's a double-edged sword, hiding you from enemies but blinding you to their presence. Hannah's behind you, her steps silent, her tanto ready, her eyes darting like a hawk's. Kent is beside her, his flute tucked into his belt, his face set with a resolve you've never seen. Taro brings up the rear, his blade drawn, his scarred face a mask of focus. The ravine narrows, the ground turning to slick mud, and you slip, your hand catching a root, its fibers biting your raw palms. The pain's a sharp flare, but you push forward, your heart pounding, the cold air stinging your lungs. A distant crow's caw makes you freeze, your breath catching, and you signal the group to halt, crouching behind a boulder, its stone cold against your back. The village emerges from the mist, a cluster of sagging huts, their thatched roofs rotting, their walls charred from a long-ago raid. The air's thick with the smell of mold and ash, and the silence is unnerving. No birds, no wind, just the faint drip of water from broken eaves. You're tasked with scouting the village for threats, and you move low, your body tense, your sandals silent on the mud. The huts are eerie, their doors gaping like wounds, and you peer inside one, its floor littered with broken pottery and bones. Human or animal, you can't tell. The smell of decay is overwhelming, and you fight the urge to gag, your hand tightening on your blade. A shadow moves in the next hut, and you freeze, your heart lurching. You signal Hannah, who nods, her tanto glinting, and creep forward, your breath shallow, the mist swirling around you. The shadow resolves into a figure, a shinobi, not IGA, his dark robes marked with a rival clan's crest, his face hidden by a bamboo mask. He's rifling through a sack, his movements quick, and you realize he's scavenging, or worse, waiting for you. Your gut clenches, and you weigh your options, strike, flee, or talk. Killing's your instinct, but a fight could draw the trackers, and you're too exposed. You signal Hannah to hold, and step into the hut, your blade sheathed, your forge papers ready. Who's there? The shinobi snaps, his hand on his blade, his voice muffled by the mask. You raise your hands, the scroll visible, and speak, your voice low, a courier passing through. No quarrel. The lie's a gamble, but the papers, forged to mimic a merchant's pass, might buy you time. He eyes you, his blade half drawn, and you feel the tension like a taut rope. The air's thick with the smell of mold and his sweat, and your heart's pounding, your mouth dry with the taste of fear. Show me, he says, and you hand over the scroll, your hand steady despite the adrenaline burning through you. He scans the papers, his eyes narrowing, and you know he's not convinced. IGA scum, he hisses, tossing the scroll aside, his blade flashing. You dodge, the blade grazing your arm, the pain a sharp flare, and draw your own, the clash of steel echoing in the hut. Hannah bursts in, her tanto aimed at his back, but you shout, wait. Killing him could spark a clan war, and the IGA are stretched thin. You parry his strike, your arms trembling, and kick his knee, sending him stumbling. We talk or we all die, you say, your voice hoarse. He hesitates, his blade lowering, and you see the fear in his eyes, fear of you, or of something worse. He sheathes his blade, and you lower yours, your heart still pounding. What do you want? He asks, his voice tight. You glance at Hannah, who's tense, her tanto ready, and Kenta, who's slipped in, his flute clutched like a weapon. Passage, you say, and your silence. He laughs, bitter. You think I trust IGA dogs? Your clans betrayed us before. The accusation stings, and you wonder if it's true. Whispers of IGA treachery have haunted you, but Taro's never confirmed them. You offer a deal. Half your poison vial, a rare commodity, for safe passage. He eyes the vial, its herbal scent faint, and nods, but his hand lingers on his blade. The negotiation's a tightrope, every word a step toward survival or death. You hand over the vial, your hands shaking, and he slips into the mist, his silhouette fading. Hannah's glare is a blade of its own. You trust him, she hisses. You shake your head, but trust isn't the point, time is. The trackers are still out there, and the village is no refuge. You move out, Taro leading, his scarred face tense, and head for the IGA camp. The mist a cold shroud around you. The village fades behind you, its huts a ghost in the fog, and you think about the rival shinobi, his words of betrayal. You wonder if the IGA are as loyal as they claim, or if you're just a pawn in a larger game. The thought hurts, but you push it down. Doubt's a weakness you can't afford. The mist clings to the IGA mountains like a shroud, its damp chill seeping into your bones, turning your dark, patched tunic into a stiff, gritty second skin. Your body's a wreck, hands stinging from the rival shinobi's blade graze, shoulders aching from the weight of yesterday's poison vial trade, legs trembling from the endless trek through mud and rock. The air's thick with the scent of wet moss, pine sap, and the faint, sour tang of your own sweat, a constant reminder of the samurai captain's blood still haunting your thoughts. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, trudging toward the IGA's hidden camp after a tense standoff in a rotting village. The tracker's dogs are silent for now, but the rival shinobi's words of betrayal echo in your mind, and the camp, once a refuge, feels like a trap waiting to spring. A low grunt pulls you back, Kenta, clutching his bamboo flute, his face set with a quiet resolve that's new, his hands steadier than you've ever seen. You glance around the fog-choked ravine, its stone walls looming like silent sentinels. Hannah's ahead, her tanto tucked into her belt, her steps deliberate, her eyes scanning the mist with a wariness that betrays her usual bravado. Taro's at the rear, his scarred face a mask of tension, his blade drawn, its faint glint a warning in the dim light. These are your comrades, bound by necessity and blood, but the rival's accusation, IGA treachery, has sown a seed of doubt, and every glance feels like a test of loyalty. You adjust your hood, its coarse fabric chafing your neck, and grip your short blade, its weight a cold anchor against the uncertainty gnawing at you. Taro's voice cuts through the mist, a low growl. Eyes sharp. We're not alone. You nod, your jaw tight, and move forward, your sandals crunching on gravel, the sound muffled by the fog's damp embrace. The ravine's a treacherous path, its floor slick with mud, its walls pitted with crevices that could hide a rival or a snake. You're tasked with navigating the group to the camp's hidden entrance, a cave concealed by vines, but the rival's presence has changed the game. He could have lied, sold you out, or worse, alerted the trackers. Your heart's pounding, not just from the climb, but from the weight of distrust. And you scan the shadows, your eyes burning from a strain, your breath shallow to avoid betraying your position. The path steepens, the mud turning to jagged rock, and you climb, your hands gripping roots, their fibers biting your raw palms. The pain's a sharp flare, but you push forward, the cold air stinging your lungs, the mist chill prickling your skin like 1,000 tiny blades. Hannah's beside you, her breath steady, but her eyes flicking to Taro, as if weighing his orders against her own instincts. "You think he's hiding something?" she whispers, her voice barely audible, referring to Taro's silence about the rival's accusation. You shake your head, unsure, but her question lingers, a crack in the group's fragile trust. Kent is behind, his flute tucked into his belt, his steps sure now, and you wonder what's hardened him, fear, shame, or something deeper. The camp's entrance is close, its vine-covered mouth a dark promise in the rock, but a faint rustle, a footstep, makes you freeze, your breath catching. You signal the group to halt, crouching behind a boulder, its stone cold against your back. The air's thick with the smell of wet rock and fern, and your hands tremble, gripping your blade, its edge sharp enough to split bone. Taro's eyes meet yours, and he nods, his scarred face tense, his blade ready. Hannah's tanto is out, her body coiled like a spring, and Kenta's hand hovers over his ash pouch, his eyes wide but focused. The rustle grows, a figure cloaked in dark robes emerging from the mist, not a tracker, but another shinobi, his crest marking him as Koga, a rival clan with a blood feud against the IGA. He's alone, his blade sheathed, but his presence is a threat, a spark in a powder keg. You're tasked with handling him, and you step forward, your forged papers ready, your voice low. "State your business," you say, the words steady despite the adrenaline burning through you. He eyes you, his face half hidden by a scarf, and smirks. "IGA dogs skulking home? Your clan's stirring trouble, and the Koga want answers." His words echo the rival's accusation, treachery, and you feel the group's tension spike, Hannah's grip tightening, Kenta's breath hitching. Taro's silent, his scarred face unreadable, and you know he's leaving this to you, a test of your. You weigh your options, fight, lie, or negotiate. Killing him risks escalating the feud, drawing more Koga to the camp. Fleeing's not an option. The camp's your only refuge. You hold up the forged papers, claiming you're couriers, but he laughs, bitter. Papers don't hide IGA stench. Your clan's plotting with the Oda, selling out the Koga. The accusation's a blade, and you glance at Taro, whose silence is damning. You offer a deal, a map of a minor IGA route, useless but convincing for safe passage. He eyes the scroll, its parchment brittle in your raw hands, and nods, but his hand lingers on his blade. "One wrong move," he says, "and you're dead." The negotiation's a tightrope, every word a step toward survival or slaughter. You hand over the scroll, your hands shaking, and he slips into the mist, his silhouette fading. Hannah's glare is a blade of its own. "You're too soft," she hisses, but there's fear in her eyes, not anger. Kent is quiet, his flute clutched like a lifeline, and you wonder if he's judging you or just relieved. Taro's voice breaks the silence, a low growl. "Move. We're exposed." You nod, your heart still pounding, and lead the group to the cave, its vine-covered mouth a dark promise. The air's thick with the smell of damp stone and fern, and you slip inside, the cave's chill wrapping around you like a shroud. The camp's a hidden fortress, its tunnels carved into the mountain, lit by flickering torches that cast long, twisting shadows. You're tasked with reporting to the IGA's commander, a wiry man named Jiro, whose eyes are sharp as a hawk's, his face lined with years of secrets. You kneel on the stone floor, its cold biting your bruised knees, and recount the mission, the captain's death, the trackers, the Koga shinobi. Jiro listens, his silence heavy, and you feel his judgment like a blade at your neck. The Koga speak of betrayal, he says, his voice low. And you traded with one. Why? You explain the map, the need to avoid a fight, but his eyes narrow, and you wonder if he suspects you or Taro. The report's a trial, every word a test of loyalty, and you feel the weight of the rival's accusation like a stone on your chest. Hana's beside you, her face hard, but her hands tremble, betraying her doubt. Kent is quiet, his flute tucked away, his eyes fixed on Jiro, and you sense a spark in him, a defiance you didn't expect. Taro's silent, his scarred face unreadable, and you wonder if he's hiding something, treachery, or just the IGA's brutal pragmatism. Jiro dismisses you, but his final words linger. Prove your worth, or you're expendable. The threat's a cold knot in your gut, and you know the next mission will be a test, not just of skill, but of loyalty. You're sent to the camp's armory, a damp chamber filled with the clink of steel and the sharp scent of oiled blades. Your task is to prepare for a new mission, a raid on a rival clan's supply cache, a desperate bid to weaken the Koga. You sharpen your tanto, its blade gleaming. The whetstones scrape a steady rhythm in the chaos. Your hands bleed, the stones grit biting your raw palms, and the pain's a sharp flare. But you push through, the cold air stinging your lungs. Hana's nearby, testing a kuzurigama, its chain whistling, her eyes distant. You think Jiro's playing us? She whispers, her voice low. You shake your head, unsure, but her question lingers, a crack in the IGA's foundation. Kent is beside you, oiling a blade, his hand steady, his face set with a resolve that's new. I'm not running, he says, his voice quiet but firm, and you realize he's found something to fight for. Maybe pride, maybe survival. The armory's alive with sound, blades clashing, shinobi muttering, the faint drip of water from the cave ceiling, and you feel the weight of the IGA's world, a machine of blood and secrets. You think about the Koga shinobi, his words of betrayal, and wonder if the IGA are as loyal as they claim. The thought hurts, but you push it down, doubt's a weakness you can't afford. The camp's tunnels are a maze, their walls slick with damp, their air thick with the smell of stone and torch smoke. You're given a thin gruel of barley and fish, served in a cracked bowl, and you eat in silence, the day's tension heavy on your shoulders. Hana's beside you, slurping her gruel, her voice low. Think the gods care about our kills? She asks, half joking. You shrug, too exhausted to answer. Kent is quiet, his flute tucked away, his eyes gleaming with that new fire. You wonder what keeps him going, faith, madness, or just the need to survive. You collapse on a straw mat, the stone floor cold against your back, and try to shut out the world. The camp's quiet, the others too tired to talk, but you hear their breathing, their restless shifts. The IGA's weight lingers, a shadow over every moment, and you feel a chill that's not just the cave's damp. You think about the Koga's accusation, the raid ahead, the endless cycle of blood, and wonder if you'll ever be anything but a blade in their grip. The IGA camp's tunnels are a suffocating maze, their stone walls slick with damp, the air heavy with the scent of torch smoke, oiled steel, and the faint, sour tang of barley gruel still lingering on your tongue. Your body's a wreck, hands stinging from sharpening blades, shoulders aching from hauling gear, the arrow graze on your arm throbbing like a pulse of regret. The cave's chill seeps into your bones, turning your dark, patched tunic into a gritty, damp weight that chafes with every move. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, fresh from a tense meeting with the IGA commander, Jiro, whose cryptic warning, prove your worth or you're expendable, hangs over you like a blade. The Koga shinobi's accusation of IGA treachery gnaws at your mind, and the new mission, a raid on a rival clan's supply cache, promises blood and betrayal in equal measure. A low clink pulls you back, Kenta, polishing his blade, his bamboo flute tucked into his belt. his face set with a quiet fire you've only recently noticed. You glance around the dim armory, its walls lined with racks of blades and ropes, the torchlight casting jagged shadows. Hannah's nearby, coiling a kuzurigama chain, her movements precise but her eyes distant, as if wrestling with Jiro's words or her own doubts. Taro's at the entrance, his scarred face tense, checking a map of Akoga's territory, his blade resting against his shoulder like an old friend. These are your comrades, bound by necessity and suspicion, each a potential ally or traitor in a world where loyalty is as fleeting as mist. You shift on the stone floor, wincing as your bruised knees protest, and tighten the cord around your ash pouch. Its faint, powdery scent a grim reminder of the chaos to come. Taro's voice cuts through the armory's hum, a low growl. We strike tonight. No mistakes. You nod, your jaw tight, and swallow a sip of water from a bamboo flask, its clay-tinged taste bitter in your mouth. Your stomach twists, not from hunger, but from the weight of the captain's death. His blood a ghost in your mind, and the Koga's accusation, a splinter you can't pull. You pull on your hood, its coarse fabric scraping your neck, and check your gear, tanto, ash pouch, a small bamboo tube of caltrops for the raid. The air's thick with the smell of oil and tension, and every clink of steel makes your heart lurch, expecting Jiro's summons or the Koga's ambush. You're tasked with scouting the Koga's supply cache, a fortified outpost in a forested valley, rumored to hold rice, weapons, and secrets that could shift the balance of power. The plan's brutal. Sneak in, sabotage the supplies, slip out before dawn. But Jiro's orders carry a hidden edge. Retrieve a sealed scroll, its contents unknown, or don't come back. You move out, slipping through the camp's tunnels, their damp walls brushing your shoulders, the torchlight flickering like a dying star. The forest awaits, its pines a dark silhouette against a moonless sky, and you step into the night, your sandals crunching on gravel, the sound muffled by the wind's low moan. The air's thick with the scent of sap and wet earth, and you move low, your body tense, your breath shallow to avoid betraying your position. The valley's a treacherous descent, it slopes slick with mud and loose stones, and you climb down, your hands gripping roots, their fibers biting your raw palms. The pain's a sharp flare, but you push forward, the cold air stinging your lungs, the night's chill prickling your skin like a swarm of tiny needles. Hannah's beside you, her tanto ready, her eyes scanning the shadows with a wariness that's sharper since the Koga's accusation. You think Jiro's setting us up, she whispers, her voice barely audible, her breath a faint cloud in the cold. You shake your head, unsure, but her question lingers, a crack in the IGA's armor. Kent is behind, his flute tucked away, his step steady, and you sense a spark in him, a defiance that's grown since the village standoff. Taro's at the rear, his blade drawn, his scarred face a mask of focus, but his silence feels heavier, as if he's hiding something, orders, guilt, or both. The outpost emerges from the trees, a squat wooden fort ringed by a bamboo palisade, its lanterns casting pools of light that make your heart lurch. The air's thick with the smell of charcoal and rice, and you count the guards, 8 Koga shinobi, their blades glinting, their voices a low murmur carried by the wind. You're tasked with infiltrating the cache, and you signal Hannah, who nods, her kuzurigama coiled like a snake. Kent is assigned to create a diversion, and Taro will cover the escape. You crouch behind a fern, its damp fronds brushing your face, and study the palisade, its gaps narrow but exploitable. The smell of wet wood and smoke fills your nose, and your hands tremble, gripping your tanto, its weight a cold comfort. Kenta moves first, lighting a small firecracker, its fuse hissing like a serpent. The pop echoes, drawing shouts from the guards, and you seize the moment, darting to the palisade, the mud slick under your sandals. You slip through a gap, the bamboo scraping your arms, the pain a sharp flare, and crouch in the outpost shadow, your tunic blending with the dark. The cache is a low shed at the courtyard's heart, its door guarded by a single shinobi, his eyes scanning the night. You signal Hannah, who tosses a caltrop, its iron point clinking, and the guard turns, giving you a window. You move, your sandals silent on the dirt, and slip inside, the air thick with the smell of rice, oil, and something sharper. Gunpowder, a rare and deadly prize. The shed's dim, lit by a single lantern, and you spot the scroll, sealed with red wax, tucked among sacks of rice. Your heart's pounding, not just from the infiltration, but from the weight of Jiros' orders. Retrieve it, or don't return. You reach for it, your hands shaking, but a creak, the guard, returning, makes you freeze. You dive behind a sack, the rice's dusty scent choking your throat, and hold your breath, the cold floor pressing against your chest. The guard pauses, his blade half drawn, and you grip your ash pouch, ready to blind him. He moves on, and you snatch the scroll, its parchment brittle in your raw hands, and slip out, the night's chill a shock after the shed's stuffy air. The courtyard's chaos now. Kenta's firecrackers have stirred the guards, their shouts echoing, their lanterns swinging. You signal Hannah, who's waiting by the palisade, her kuzarigama ready. You sprint, the mud slick underfoot, and slip through the gap, the bamboo tearing your tunic. A guard shout, a spotter on the roof, sends an arrow whistling past, grazing your shoulder, the pain a white-hot flare. You grit your teeth, running, the scroll tucked into your belt, its weight a cold promise of survival or doom. Hannah's beside you, her tanto bloody from a guard she silenced, her eyes hard. Kent is waiting, his face pale but his hand steady, and Taro's signal, a low whistle, guides you into the forest, the trees a dark embrace. The valley's a death trap, every shadow a potential ambush, and you move low, your body tense, your sandals silent on the mud. The air's thick with the smell of sap and blood, and your heart's pounding, your breath shallow, the cold air stinging your lungs. The guard shouts fade, but the Koga are relentless, their trackers likely already on your trail. You think about the scroll, its content a mystery, battle plans, a traitor's name, or something worse, and wonder if Jiros playing you, using you as bait to flush out a bigger threat. The thought hurts, but you push it down, doubt's a weakness you can't afford. The forest thins, the camp's cave entrance a dark crevice in the rock, and you slip inside, the air thick with the smell of damp stone and torch smoke. You're tasked with delivering the scroll to Jiro, and you kneel on the stone floor, its cold biting your bruised knees, and present it, your hands shaking. Jiro's eyes are sharp, his face unreadable, and he takes the scroll, breaking the seal with a flick of his blade. He reads in silence, his expression darkening, and you feel his judgment like a blade at your neck. You've done well, he says, but his tone's cold, and you know there's more, a catch, a test, another mission. Hannah's beside you, her face hard, her hands trembling, and Kent is quiet, his flute a silent weight at his belt, his eyes gleaming with that new fire. The camp's alive with sound, blades clashing, shinobi muttering, the faint drip of water from the cave ceiling, and you feel the weight of the IGA's world, a machine of blood and secrets. You're given a thin gruel of barley and fish, served in a cracked bowl, and you eat in silence, the day's tension heavy on your shoulders. Hannah's beside you, slurping her gruel, her voice low. Think Jiro's hiding the truth? She asks, half joking. You shrug, too exhausted to answer. Kent is quiet, his flute tucked away, his eyes fixed on the cave's entrance, as if expecting the Koga to storm in. You wonder what keeps him going, pride, survival, or something you'll never understand. You collapse on a straw mat, the stone floor cold against your back, and try to shut out the world. The camp's quiet, the others too tired to talk, but you hear their breathing, their restless shifts. The IGA's weight lingers, a shadow over every moment, and you feel a chill that's not just the cave's damp. You think about the scroll, the Koga's pursuit, the endless cycle of blood, and wonder if you'll ever be anything but a blade in their grip. The IGA camp's tunnels are a claustrophobic labyrinth, their damp stone walls glistening under flickering torchlight, the air heavy with the scent of wet rock, charred wood, and the faint, bitter tang of barley gruel crusted in your throat. Your body's a wreck, hands raw from gripping the stolen Koga scroll, shoulders throbbing from the outpost raid. The arrow graze on your arm, pulsing like a warning. The cave's chill bites through your dark, patched tunic, its gritty fabric stiff with sweat and mud, chafing your skin with every move. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, reeling from Jiro's cryptic dismissal after delivering the scroll, his cold words, "You've done well," laced with an unspoken threat. The Koga's accusation of IGA treachery lingers like poison, and the next mission, a whispered order to eliminate a traitor within the camp, feels like a noose tightening around your neck. A low hum pulls you back, Kenta, fingering his bamboo flute, its soft notes a fragile defiance in the cave's gloom, his face lit with a resolve that's grown sharper since the village. You glance around the dim barracks, its stone floor strewn with straw mats, the torchlight casting jagged shadows. Hannah's slumped against a wall, her kuzurigama coiled beside her, her eyes hollow but glinting with suspicion, as if Jiro's orders have cracked her trust. Taro's near the entrance, his scarred face tense, cleaning his blade with a rag, the scrape a steady rhythm in the silence. These are your comrades bound by blood and secrets, but the traitor's shadow has turned every glance into a question, every silence into a threat. You shift on your mat, wincing as your bruised knees protest, and check your gear, Tonto ash pouch, a small vial of blinding powder. It's faint, acrid scent a grim promise of the betrayal to come. Taro's voice cuts through, a low growl. "We hunt tonight. Stay sharp." You nod, your jaw tight, and force down a sip of water from a bamboo flask, its mossy taste sour in your mouth. Your stomach twists, not from hunger, but from the weight of the captain's death, the Koga's pursuit, and now the traitor's existence. A poison within the IGA's heart. You pull on your hood, its coarse fabric scraping your neck, and tuck your blade into your belt, its weight a cold anchor against the dread clawing at you. The air's thick with the smell of damp stone and tension, and every clink of steel makes your heart lurch, expecting Jiro's summons or the traitor's blade. You're tasked with shadowing a suspect, a veteran shinobi named Ryo, whose late-night movements have raised Jiro's suspicions. The mission's delicate, observe, confirm, strike if ordered, but the stakes are brutal. A traitor could unravel the IGA, and a false accusation could spark chaos. You slip through the camp's tunnels, their walls brushing your shoulders, the torchlight flickering like a dying pulse. The barracks lead to a network of passages, some so narrow you have to turn sideways, the stone scraping your raw hands. The air's heavy with the scent of mold and smoke, and you move low, your sandals silent on the damp floor, your breath shallow to avoid echoing in the tight space. The tunnels open to a hidden alcove, a small chamber where Ryo's rumored to meet his contacts. You crouch behind a jutting rock, its surface cold against your back, and peer into the gloom, your eyes burning from the strain. The air's thick with the smell of wet earth and something sharper. Sake, faint but unmistakable, a sign of clandestine dealings. Your hands tremble, gripping your tanto, its edge sharp enough to split bone, and you wait, your heart pounding, the cold seeping into your bones. Ryo appears, his silhouette lean and wiry, his blade sheathed but his movements tense, as if he senses eyes on him. He's alone, but his hand lingers on a small scroll, its wax seal glinting in the torchlight, and you wonder if it's proof of treachery or just another IGA secret. Hannah's nearby, hidden in a crevice, her kuzurigama ready, her eyes locked on Ryo with a mix of suspicion and unease. Kenta's at the tunnel's mouth, his flute tucked away, his ash pouch poised, his face set with that new resolve. Taro's watching from a higher ledge, his scarred face unreadable, but his silence feels heavier, as if he's guarding more than the mission. You signal Hannah to hold, and watch Ryo, your breath shallow, the cold stone pressing against your chest. He paces, muttering to himself, and you catch fragments, Oda payment, words that echo the Koga's accusation, twisting the knot in your gut tighter. Your mind races. Is Rio selling out the IGA, or is he a pawn in Jiro's game? Bait to test your loyalty? A faint rustle, a second figure, cloaked, emerging from a side tunnel, makes you freeze, your heart lurching. It's not an IGA, but a Koga shinobi, his crest barely visible, his blade drawn. Rio doesn't flinch, handing over the scroll, and you realize the truth. He's trading with the enemy, or at least it looks that way. You're tasked with deciding, strike now or follow and confirm. Killing Rio risks alerting the Koga, but letting him go could doom the IGA. You signal Hana, who nods, her Kuzurigama uncoiling, and Kenta, who readies his ash. Taro's eyes meet yours, and he gestures to follow, a rare hesitation that makes you wonder if he's protecting Rio or you. You tail the pair, slipping through the tunnels, their walls narrowing, the air growing thicker with a smell of mold and stale sake. Your sandals are silent, but the stone slick, and you slip, your hand catching a root, its fibers biting your raw palms. The pain's a sharp flare, but you push forward, the cold air stinging your lungs, the tunnel's chill prickling your skin like a swarm of tiny blades. Rio and the Koga move fast, their whispers a low hum, and you catch more castle ambush, words that paint a picture of betrayal, but the details are maddeningly vague. Hana's beside you, her breath steady, but her eyes flicking to Taro, as if questioning his orders. Kenta's behind, his steps sure now, and you sense a spark in him, a defiance that's grown since the village. The tunnels open to a hidden exit, a crevice overlooking a forested gorge, its pines swaying under a moonless sky. The air's thick with the scent of sap and wet earth, and you crouch behind fern, its damp fronds brushing your face. Rio and the Koga pause, exchanging a scroll for a small pouch, its contents clinking, coins, or something worse. You're tasked with intervening, and you weigh your options, strike, sabotage, or retreat. A fight risks exposure, but the scroll's contents could save or doom the IGA. You signal Hana to circle, her Kuzurigama ready, and Kenta to prepare his ash. Taro's gesture is clear, act now or lose the chance. You move, your body low, your sandals silent on the mud, and toss a caltrip, its iron point clinking. The Koga spins, his blade flashing, but Hana's chain whips out, tangling his arm, and you lunge, your tanto aimed at Rio. He dodges, his blade drawn, and you clash, steel sparking, the sound echoing in the gorge. The pain in your arm flares, but you push through, your heart pounding, the cold air stinging your lungs. Kenta throws ash, blinding the Koga, who stumbles, and Hana finishes him, her tanto swift. Rio's faster, his blade grazing your side, the pain a white-hot flare, but you kick his knee, sending him down, and pin him, your tanto at his throat. Talk, you hiss, your voice hoarse, the scroll clutched in your raw hand. Rio's eyes are wild, but he laughs, bitter. You're blind, IGA dog. Jiros the traitor, not me. The words hit like a blade, and you glance at Taro, whose silence is damning. Hana's frozen, her Kuzurigama poised, and Kenta's watching, his flute a silent weight, his eyes gleaming with that new fire. You're tasked with deciding, kill Rio, take the scroll, or let him live and risk the truth. You hesitate, the captain's blood a ghost in your mind, and Taro's voice cuts through, a low growl. Finish it. You press the blade, but Rio's words stop you. The scroll, it's Jiro's deal with the Oda. Kill me, and you'll never know. The choice is a noose, and you pull back, binding Rio with rope, the fibers biting your raw hands. You take the scroll, its wax seal intact, and signal the group to move, the gorge's shadows closing in. The air's thick with the smell of blood and sap, and your heart's pounding, your breath shallow, the cold air stinging your lungs. The camp's a trek away, and every step is a gamble with death, the scroll a burning weight in your belt. The forest is a maze of shadows, its trees swaying, their branches clawing at your tunic. You think about Rio's words, Jiro's cold eyes, and wonder if the IGA are a machine of betrayal, not loyalty. The thought hurts, but you push it down, Doubt's a weakness you can't afford. You're given a thin gruel of barley and fish, served in a cracked bowl, and you eat in silence, the day's tension heavy on your shoulders. Hannah's beside you, slurping her gruel, her voice low. "Think Rio's lying?" she asks, half joking. You shrug, too exhausted to answer. Kenta's quiet, his flute a silent weight, his eyes fixed on the gorge's edge, as if expecting the koga to emerge. You collapse on a straw mat, the stone floor cold against your back, and try to shut out the world. The camp's quiet, the others too tired to talk, but you hear their breathing, their restless shifts. The IGA's weight lingers, a shadow over every moment, and you feel a chill that's not just the cave's damp. You think about the scroll, Rio's accusation, the endless cycle of blood, and wonder if you'll ever be anything but a blade in their grip. So, how's it feel, pinning a traitor with a clan's secrets in your hands? Think you could stomach the truth, the doubt, the weight of a choice that could kill you? Or are you already dreaming of your cozy bed, your takeout pizza, your life where the worst traitor is a bad friend? Don't get too comfortable. The IGA's unraveling, and the shadows are sharper than ever. The cliff's edge is a jagged scar overlooking a fog-choked abyss, its crumbling stone dusted with frost, the air sharp with the scent of frozen pine, cracked earth, and the faint, coppery tang of blood seeping from your wounds. Your body's a ruin, fingers numb from clutching your tanto, chest heaving from a koga blade's bruising strike. The arrow graze on your arm burning like an ember pressed to flesh. Your dark, tattered tunic is stiff with sweat and frost, its frayed edges snagging your raw skin with every shuddering breath. You're a shinobi in feudal Japan, 1580, standing at the end of a blood-soaked path after Rio's accusation and the scroll's damning truth exposed Jiro's treachery, a pact with Iota to sell the IGA for power. Tonight's mission, a final stand to end Jiro's betrayal and save what's left of the clan, is your last chance to carve a truth from a world of lies. But the cost will be everything. A sharp gasp pulls you back, Kenta, clutching his bamboo flute, its cracked surface glinting in the moonlight, his eyes blazing with a purpose that's carried him through every betrayal. You glance around the cliff's desolate expanse, its frost-rimed stones jagged underfoot, the fog swirling like a living shroud, swallowing the distant pines. Hannah's crouched behind a boulder, her kuzurigama tucked away, her face streaked with dirt and tears, a raw grief spilling from the loss of her brother, betrayed by Jiro's lies years ago. Taro's at the cliff's edge, his scarred face etched with a quiet sorrow, his blade sheathed, his loyalty to you a fragile thread against Jiro's looming shadow. These are your comrades, forged in blood and broken by truth, but the scroll's weight has turned every heartbeat into a question, every gust into a blade. You shift, wincing as your battered ribs protest, and grip your tanto, its edge a cold vow against the reckoning to come. Hannah's voice slices through the fog's murmur, a raw whisper. He's coming. Finish it. You nod, your throat dry as ash, and bite into a dried plum, its sharp tartness a fleeting spark against the dread coiling in your gut. Your pulse races, not from fear, but from the weight of the captain's death, Rio's sacrifice, and Jiro's betrayal. A venom that's poisoned the IGA's soul. You tighten your hood, its frayed fabric brushing your jaw, and check your gear. Tanto, a single caltrip, a bamboo tube of blinding powder. It's faint, acrid scent a grim herald of the chaos ahead. The air's thick with the smell of frost and vengeance, and every creak of the cliff stones makes your heart spike, expecting Jiro's arrival or the koga's final strike. You're tasked with luring Jiro to the cliff, where the IGA's remnants, barely a dozen shinobi, plan to ambush his koga allies and end his treachery. The scroll's truth has fractured the clan, and this stand is all that remains to save it, or burn it down. You move into position, slipping across the frost-slick stones, their edges biting your bare feet, the sandals lost in the last fight. The air's heavy with the scent of ice and pine, and you crouch behind a shattered rock, its surface rough against your raw hands, your eyes burning from the fog sting, your breath a faint mist in the cold. The cliff's a death trap, its sheer drop a silent threat. But it's your only ground, your last stand. Jiro arrives, a wiry silhouette in IGA robes, flanked by Koga shinobi, their blades gleaming like fangs in the moonlight. His smirk is a blade, his voice a hiss. You thought you could expose me? You signal Kenta, perched on a ledge, his blinding powder ready, and Hana, hidden in the fog, her kuzurigama poised. Taro's at your side, his scarred face tense, his blade drawn, and you pray he stands with you. You're tasked with drawing Jiro out, and you step forward, your tanto raised, your voice a blade. The scroll named you Jiro, the Oda's puppet. The words ignite the night, and Jiro laughs, cold and sharp. The IGA's dead. Join me, or die. The cliff explodes, Kenta's powder blinding the Koga. Hana's chain whipping through the fog, tangling blades. Their screams swallowed by the wind's roar. Taro charges, his blade aimed at Jiro, but a Koga strike catches his side, blood spraying. And he stumbles, his scarred face calm. For you, he whispers and falls, his sacrifice a spark in the dark. You fight, your tanto a blur, blood spilling, warm and sticky, coating your hands. The smell of frost and iron is overwhelming, and you dodge a Koga's blade, its tip slicing your arm. The pain a searing flare. Hana's cry pierces the chaos. She's cornered, her brother's memory driving her. And you dive, your tanto felling her attacker, saving her. Jiro's blade finds you, a shallow cut across your chest, the pain a white-hot scream. But you tackle him, pinning him to the frost-slick stone, your tanto at his throat. The Koga are broken, their bodies scattered, the IGA's remnants faltering. You're tasked with choosing, kill Jiro, ending his treachery, or spare him, hoping for redemption. His eyes are wide, his voice a plea. I did it for power, for survival. The words echo your own life, and you hesitate, Hana's grief, Kenta's resolve, Taro's sacrifice weighing on you. Kenta's voice, steady, cuts through. He's poison. You press the blade, blood spilling, Jiro's life fading, his betrayal buried in the frost. The IGA's remnants flee, the camp lost, the clan a memory. You stand, your body a wreck, Hana at your side, her tears dry, her grief a quiet fire. Kenta plays a single note on his cracked flute, a dirge for Taro, for you, for everything. You burn the scroll, its ashes swirling in the fog, and walk into the abyss, no clan, no name, a shadow forged in blood. You've seen the IGA's heart, its lies, its cost, and now you understand why surviving here is impossible. Every blade cuts, every truth bleeds, every life fades. You're not a hero, not a shadow warrior from the movies. You're a ghost, and ghosts don't linger. The fog swallows you, its icy tendrils a cold embrace, the cliff stones silent underfoot. You think about Hana's tears, Kenta's note, Taro's fall, and wonder if you were ever more than a blade. The thought burns, but you let it go. Ghosts don't carry regrets. The night's alive with the howl of wind, the scent of frost and ash, and you vanish, your tanto a dead weight, your heart a whisper. You've walked the shinobi's path, felt the frost under your feet, the blood on your hands, the truth in your bones. You've understood why surviving here is impossible, because every shadow hides a blade, and every blade finds its mark. As you drift off tonight, wrapped in your cozy blanket, remember this. The IGA's ghosts are restless, their blades eternal, and they're waiting for their next mark. Sleep tight, friend, and dream of softer blades, because the real ones never miss. Good night.